we should be all set to start.
All right. Just gotta pull the report up. Sorry.
And Ken, now that the clerk's open, I'll probably have to do you have a scanner if I send you the minutes to sign?
Yes.
Get approved?
Yeah.
All right. You'll have to figure that out tomorrow. Without Lori, I'm having to learn a lot in the new Compass system.
I cannot find you. What's the first thing on the agenda?
Call to order.
Call to order. Let's do it.
Here, I can.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. NRPA plan phasing reopening. We have no citizens on here, do we?
We do have Kristen LaJoy, president of Little League, and then Ron Johnson, president of football.
Okay. Well, let them speak.
I think they're kind of just here to hear all the guidelines and then give input on how they can, meet them when we get down to that.
Okay. Let's move on with the phase reopening plan.
All right. So, I kind of made bullets so we can do this quickly and efficiently. So I can just kind of go real quickly through everything. I just attached that. Basically, it says that playgrounds in their phase, they don't want those open from phase 4 or 5. But then ticket, what is it, DECD or whatever, has their own guidelines. For the boat launch guidance, basically it's this beep said they're not, their picnic shelters are closed to groups. They're open for individual use. They've removed tables or stacked them. They're allowing household members to sit in their shelters or pavilions as a household. And then the letters also from them, basically that to expect scaled back amenities, pavilions and playscapes are off limits. Expecting that to probably change pretty shortly. Letter from GPH, we're expecting a second one any day now, but they gave us our first set of recommendations. They finally recommended that we open the bathrooms in the park, which was good because we had a few people defecate in the parks and then, with no bathrooms. Russell had a fun time with that. Basically, that we're going to have to put on signs for the new guidance and practice social distancing for those using the park. Use face coverings if they're within 6 feet of other park users. Only use the parks with members of your own household. Avoid crowded recreation areas, and then avoid touching surfaces such as tables and things like that. But we're supposed to get a second letter shortly, which I'm assuming will update some of that. Cleaning guidelines, essentially, as of this moment, we don't need an applicator license to apply EPA regulated cleaning products outdoors, which is good. That would be quite a pain. We basically need our turf manager to spray down picnic tables with chemicals. In phase 1, we do have a few activities by the DECD that they're allowing. It's mountain biking, golf, driving ranges, tennis, paddleboard, paddleball, and pickleball. And then now with the new executive order 7, whatever PT or VV, group training up to 25 people outdoors as long as they maintain a 6-foot distance, along with kayaking, sailing, canoeing, stand-up paddleboarding. I need to get clarification on rowing for Russell because then he could possibly start. And then also volleyball 2v2 only is allowed to be played. For concession stands, if they do open, they will have to follow these the attached guidelines for restaurants, unless they sell only prepackaged food and drinks that do not have. Then they don't have to follow those guidelines. They can just, basically clean surfaces like they're recommended in the sports facility recommendations. Just a little background information that we could probably use, but the bulk of it's down below. I have about like a few pages of bullets I can go through when we get there.
So quick question on, we're going to still rent like the Pavilion and stuff?
So that's what we kind of need to decide. I have a lot of information down below that I actually had a meeting today with the state and Kerma to go over all of that. We have some decisions we have to make. Next is just approval of minutes, and then we can essentially get down there. So we need a motion to approve last month's meeting. Yeah, that and the March 10th. Yeah. So motion to approve the last 2 months.
I'll second.
I approve.
All in favor?
I couldn't tell who made the motion. I'm hearing a lot of background noise. I'm sorry. I have myself on mute when I was not talking, but Tom has his hand up.
Tom
Did you make the motion?
Tom motioned, Shay seconded.
Okay. And I can't take the minutes you're acting up to, so I'm like taking notes by hand, so I apologize. Okay.
All right. I don't have a director's report, but I can quickly update you guys. We seeded the fields at an outrageous rate of 10 pounds per 1,000 square feet. We're regrading the middle school in hopes that we won't lose tons of infield mix. The lake aerators are in. Bathrooms are de-winterized, but we haven't opened those brick and mortar bathrooms to the public. We don't have an office assistant right now, and they want to hold off until September to hire a new one. And then currently, skates and basketball courts are closed. We are having issues with people taking down our signs and ripping up tape if there's no we're running out of snow fencing. And then they actually took down the basketball lid at Gales Ferry Community Center. Like we just tied it back up yesterday. And then I can make things a little easier.
Are the hoops down then, or?
No, we have wooden lids. There's two pieces of wood that got screwed together on the rim, so the ball can't go in. The kids did find out how to get one of them off at the community center. So real quick yesterday, I just took the really big zip ties and did a few crosses. Because hopefully that might be able to open up June 17th, but I haven't gotten clearance on that yet.
Do you think those will open again?
I gotta get clarification. There's something that says basketball courts can be used for group activities. I'm not sure if that's going to, include pickup basketball.
Right.
We got all this information Sunday, so a lot to go through in a short period of time. So I basically just took bullets for the guidelines. That way we don't have to go through everything. So I can do it real quick. As the state guidelines would limit 2 teams, officials, and limited families for fields. Indoor sporting events would be limited to 50% of the building capacity or 25%, whatever is smaller. There's risks to athletes, coaches, and employees that can't be mitigated. Athletes, coaches, and employees who choose to visit or partake in activities should be fully aware that they're going to be put at risk. And we need to, come up with a way to let them know that. We need to develop a cleaning checklist. If any on-site duties are subcontracted, it's our responsibility to ensure that the subcontractors are properly trained. It also has to be legally inspected. I might, Tom, are you on? That might be the background. There should be like a red, like a microphone at the bottom. Just click it so it goes red and then. That's fine. I might be able to. So weekly refreshers. They want us to have like exit and entry points for one-way traffic if possible for the fields. Maintain a log of all the staff and volunteers on the premise over time to support contact tracing. We need to have clear signage that has the state 211 hotline that says that this is where you report violations, along with clear signage that reinforces new policies on social distancing protocols, cleaning and disinfecting protocols, personal protection protocols, and then the symptoms list. And if you're sick, you have to stay home. No one's allowed to enter if they're having symptoms. They want, wherever possible, touchless appliances for things like paper towel dispensers, soap dispensers, and trash cans. And no water fountains will be allowed for the athletes or coaches. They'll all be required to bring their own bottles. They will allow water bottle filling stations, but there's no congregating at the stations, and we have to have signage up to reinforce the use of the water bottle filling station properly. Now to start back up with the sports, they're taking into account that there's a deconditioning because they haven't, participated in any activity since March. So they've sorted the sports into low, moderate, and high risk. The moderate and low risk categories can begin all activities in phase 2, which is the 17th. And the high risk sports are only allowed to start performing camps, which if they're doing a camp that runs through a mealtime or more than 3 times a week, they would be required to follow the OEC guidelines for camps, which we already said will not be allowed. They can also participate in individual or group training and controlled practices. After July 6th, those sports can go, full-fledged with whatever they under the guidelines. There are no restrictions. Basically, they have to start with conditioning before they can do any, games or anything like that. So like high risk is football, things like that. Moderate risk, they're considering softball, baseball, I believe soccer. But soccer's already canceled their season for the spring. So event organizers, staff, coaches, players, umpires, they all must conduct daily symptom assessments. If they have any two of the following symptoms, they will not be allowed to enter and must return home. The symptoms are fever, chills, shaking with chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, loss of taste or smell. And then we could be doing temperature checks, which I'll get to at the bottom of some of my concerns. Face coverings are going to be required for walking in and out of the venue, and not while actively participating. No post-activity snacks are allowed. Athletes are not allowed to share equipment to the most extent possible. If shared, cleaning and disinfecting is required frequently. They want the players in small groups at practice to allow for physical distancing. Practices need to be scheduled with at least 15-minute buffer in between to prevent overlap of participants and allow for time to clean and disinfect commonly used surfaces, including benches, dugouts, handles, bathrooms. Games have to be scheduled at least a 30-minute buffer to prevent overlap of participants. And no more than half of the complex can change over at any given time, which is going to create a scheduling nightmare. So if you have 2 fields at Crandall, you can't have 2 games end at the same time. They have to be staggered.
So quick question there to follow on that. So who's going to be doing the cleaning?
So we'll have to discuss at the end
Okay.
We'll get there. That's one of my concerns. So we could consider time limits for games, and that could mean games end in a draw. All the balls must be disinfected before and after every clinic, practice, or game. There's no huddle or grouping together at any time, no handshakes, fist bumps after games. Dugouts and benches and the bleachers can be used. They can be cleaned before and after each use, and they can be set up to maintain a 6-foot distance for like spectators and the players. Staff and volunteers would be required for crowd control to remind spectators to maintain social distancing, and they want us to make frequent announcements or play audio recordings, reinforcing this as well. This is just an overview. Just an idea. No congregating in common areas or parking lots following the events or practices. We need strategies to be developed that will avoid large crowds at exits, such as dismissing crowds by section. Spectators are required to bring and wear their own face covering. The coaches are required to wear a face mask when unable to maintain a 6-foot physical distance from others. While engaged in play of sports or strenuous activities, the athletes do not need to wear face covering, so while they're playing. However, when they want them to wear a mask at all other times, like such as sitting in the dugout. We need to have hand sanitizer available at entrance points in all the common areas. Bathrooms and portables must be cleaned multiple times a day and hourly during the busy times, aka when we're having games or practices. We also have to implement a cleaning log for tracking of this cleaning. The cleaning products must meet the EPA criteria for use against COVID-19 and must be appropriate for the surface. And that involves, we have to be involved in the training of volunteers or whoever is responsible. And then there's positive case reporting that we must follow with the state for their contact tracing protocols. So we're allowed to start on the 17th, but some of the issues that I don't think it's really possible that early is, first off, Paul is going to need at least till July 1st to have those fields ready. The stuff we have to do as far as marking bleachers out, and even that's on top of our general field work, is quite a lot. Getting signage up. Also, we're waiting on speedy dry lime, which we're ordering. Everything's coming in a little slower due to the situation. And then the most important thing is all of the PPE is on back order. Some of this we cannot get until August 11th. So they want, in order to clean, you have to have goggles and gloves on. So we can't get gloves besides medium gloves, I think maybe in July, but everything else, it's pretty back ordered. Plus, we don't have budgeted for all this additional protective equipment that we're going to need to meet the COVID guidelines. So essentially, the leagues would have to help out there. I know they're probably hurting as well due to fundraising that they're not able to hold. And then there's also the cleaning supplies as well.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the supplies themselves as well, right? So not just the PPE, but.
So I did find Zep has a DZ7 cleaner that we can get 4 gallons of the cleaner for like $80. You take 4 ounces of that and mix it with a gallon of water, so it would go quite a ways, but it's still, who knows how much of that we're going to go through. But the amount of cleaning we have to do between every game, every practice, every surface they touch has to be disinfected. And then I know Little League has best practices which are attached, but I didn't really get time to give a summary of those. And that's youth sports. I guess real quick before we make any decision on that, I should talk about some of the risk management real quick, because we did meet with PERMA and the State Parks and Rec Department Association today to talk about this. So there's currently no case law or precedent regarding COVID-19. So there's no real way to minimize the risk because there's never been a lawsuit regarding it. They said to use like social media and help maximize distributing our information to minimize our risk. Waivers help, but it's not going to waive a person's right to sue us. We should get all our waivers reviewed by the lawyer and ensure we have the best language to protect us. We're going to want to have hold harmless agreements for the leagues to ensure that they understand what's expected of them, as well that if they get sued, the town is not responsible. We need to have very clear signage to help minimize our risk, staying social distance requirements, etc. But they also mentioned like not to post on bathrooms like use at your own risk, or the rate that we would be cleaning them, because we would be held to those cleaning standards. And if we say use at your own risk, it's like we're accepting, letting people know there is a risk, which is one of the things they brought up. And then for basketball courts, we don't know if those are allowed to be open yet. And there's still some stuff we need to clarify for phase 2. It's basically the sports part of it. I know Kristen and them are trying to decide whether or not they can have a season. I know after talking to Paul and reading through these guidelines and discussing them with the state and currently, I don't think it's a good idea to have a spring season. I think we should focus on the fall, because it's going to take a lot of time to get all this in place for us, and then as well work out with the leagues what they can help and can't help with. We can actually develop a plan and move forward.
May I jump in?
Yep.
That is part of, as far as Little League goes anyway, I can only speak for Little League, but as far as all of that goes, we have a lot of very much the same concerns. We were looking at as well, can we even procure the supplies that are needed in order to do any of this? And we're having a hard time finding all of that stuff too. I do the ordering for my own job outside of Little League, and I'm having a hard time finding the stuff for that. And we're running a food pantry and still can't get the stuff that we need. So it's definitely concerning. And I know you just mentioned some of the stuff that you would need. You're looking at July or August before you can get any of that. We did put an announcement out to our parents that if we could not take to the field safely, and we're allowed to by June 21st or 22nd, that we would be canceling our spring season and we would focus on fall ball. Obviously, we would love to be able to get out there if there's a way for it to be possible. I mean, we're on board. I've got to talk to my board still and go back and tell them what you all had to say here at this meeting, and you guys are the boss. So whatever you say, I bring back to them. If there's an option to keep things going, I have to bring it back to them and see if they're even willing to do all of this stuff. And some of them are very hesitant as well. I mean, they're all kind of, not all of them. Some of them are gung-ho and want to go and will do whatever it takes. Others are a little more hesitant as far as being overwhelmed by everything that's going to be required. So we have some of the same concerns. We'll help wherever we can with whatever's needed, but we're definitely have the concerns there too.
Yeah, and after talking with Paul today, it's a mountain of stuff now that we have to accomplish. So he really doesn't. He's like, July 4th week is probably the earliest he can have fields ready.
Do we have another citizen?
Looks like Ron's on.
Yeah, so for football, we're still, like, we have to follow the state reports, we have to follow what you can say. But we're also following, our conference follows the CIAC guidelines. We're still waiting on that as well. Luckily for us, we're not planning on even starting until the middle of August. So a lot of it is just trying to figure out how we can even hold season workouts.
And that the workouts and stuff is probably a little easier to accomplish because lack of the equipment that you'd have to sanitize and all that. Basically, you're just taken to the field. So it's probably a little more manageable because you're not playing games. Definitely, baseball would be a lot harder to accomplish in such a short period of time. Now, I also did have, I think there's a private group that wants to use the Babe Ruth field for the 21st. So I don't know if we want to allow that or one field might be able to get prepared, but I don't know, then are we setting a precedent if we
The
let
21st of June, Scott?
Yeah, they called today. It's I think it's PTI maybe. What, play a game, I believe, or it could be a practice. They line their own field though and do all that. But I mean, we'd probably want agreements in place, you know, that they're not going to hold us responsible if anything were to happen, and that's kind of a short window to have that prepared.
Yeah, I mean, or could you even get our legal to take a look at those waivers before the 21st? Or in time for them to make a decision? It seems there's not a lot of time on the calendar.
Yeah, and I got a lot on my plate as it is because I have a grant due like the 26th of the month as well. That's been eating up a lot of my time, and we're short-staffed as it is because it's bare minimums. It's just me, Monica, and Russell doing senior van trips and maintaining the parks. Everybody else is essentially laid off.
Yeah, I think we're at a state here where it's just too much for everyone to take on. You know, it's one thing if we cancel our camp, and we actually have a lot of control over that situation personally. As opposed to this, you're letting multiple leagues kind of be involved, and we're tied in with them. I think it's going to be very difficult to approve of this.
Yeah, I agree, Ken. I think just the optics alone of us canceling camp, but then quickly flipping the switch once sort of this June 20th stuff came about, it feels at best rushed and not well thought through if we allowed it to happen.
I know I joined the meeting a little late, but I know that a lot of the concerns and everything that Scott's bringing up are a lot of the reasons why we had to cancel the fair. Because the biggest thing is there is no precedent out there for not being responsible if someone were to contract it from who knows where. Just the legal aspect of things is so unknown at this point. Because ultimately everything falls downhill. But I know we finally got masks for the company, and we ordered them in April. And we just got them, and we had the filters a month ago, but we just got the masks yesterday. And I know we're having a hard time with the company getting gloves and things like that as well. And those are all things.
We ordered thermometers, and we haven't even got a confirmation as like when they're going to be shipped or delivered yet. Which is one of my worries. I mean, we were able to order them, but we don't know when or if they're even going to arrive at this point.
I think bottom line, based on the regulations that are coming out, you're not ready because you have no supplies. You have no PPE, so that's a non-starter at that point. So until all that's in place, and we really can't say we can open anything up at this point.
I would agree, Ken, and I think, to add on, Scott, being short-staffed, I mean, it would become something scheduling wise that we would have to work with any, but as soon as we open up, there's going to be a mad desire to kind of get this going, and people are going to be coming right and left. I think the in-between cleanings with the burden of just a short staff and basically Russ and yourself, I don't think it's tenable at this point.
Do we want to say we'll hold off youth sports and, readdress it next month? Because, I mean, that'll give us time to get some supplies and, kind of get things in order as far as legal documents that we might want in place to allow youth sports to start.
I would propose actually we ask the youth sports leaders to come in so that there is some consistency in approaches, right? So the one thing that I've learned in years and years of dealing with legal is inconsistency will break down anything legally. So if we can get all the sports leaders in hearing the same message, agreeing to the same standards as we prep for August, whether it's workouts or fall ball across the board, I think the better off we would be. Just my thoughts.
No, I agree. I mean, we have to motion to table it, or essentially not really. I think we kind of just move on, right, and then keep it on the agenda for next time.
I think so.
Or is the motion, is it a motion that we would not open up for anything at this point and defer any opening decisions till August or till the July meeting?
No, that's
Do we need a motion, Lou?
we just doing no youth sports, because also on here we are we want to start taking pavilion rentals and then starting up at least limited park and rec programs. And that way we get revenue at least coming in and we look useful to the town. But some of it's kind of possible, but then again, it would be dependent on if we can get certain supplies for that as well. I mean, Russell's cleaning bathrooms and all that daily because it's required to, just for the parks in general. But then do we want to, allow that risk of having people sitting at picnic tables and running the risk as well that they, instead of 25 people, bring 50 when the maximum is 25?
I think I'm back with Ken. If it's PPE and cleaning and we don't have it, then I don't think you can do any of it, Scott.
I don't think so either, because I think I was reading somewhere where it was amongst all of this paperwork. I left myself a note. Where did I put it? Oh, like the dugout benches and bleachers, water fountains. Like the water fountains can only be used for refilling, but is there going to be someone standing at a water fountain monitoring? If they're, you know what I'm saying? And like the dugouts, bleachers, benches, all of those kind of things. I mean, if we're opening it up and say we rent out the pavilion for a birthday party, well, we're taking them on, first of all, their honor. But second of all, we have to clean it prior to, we have to clean it after, and we have to make sure that, I can't remember where I read it, but there was even something about even the porta potties or something. I can't remember where it was.
So I mean, we have the porta potties out, so that's kind of in place already.
Right, but there was something about the cleaning or something of it, or it had to be posted. Something had to be posted on the porta potty.
Yeah, there's a lot that
There's
the
like crazy stuff
company has in it. Yeah.
It just seems to me that if you open up a pavilion, then people are just going to automatically, well, why'd you do? I just think, opening up one and not opening up the other, I don't know. I just kind of torn here, especially if we're short staffed as much as we are.
It seems like if I would think even in the fall, we maybe not allow people on benches. We just shut them all down, get rid of all the picnic tables, and if you want to rent the pavilion, you got to bring your own seat. You can use the grill.
Yeah.
As far as sports are concerned, everyone brings their own seat. You shouldn't be responsible for
Ken.
cleaning the bleachers and the facilities. The only thing you shouldn't be responsible for cleaning is maybe a bathroom. Everything else should be, it's a field.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ken. Tom, we can't hear you if you're talking.
Are regulations going to change in the fall that make that unnecessary?
So they're gonna change again in July. Yeah, because like right now we're at 25 people, and then the 17th, I think it's 50, and then July they're talking 100. Now, I mean, for pavilion stuff, we do have the farmers market going. Those specific, groups that have sector guidelines, but they've brought in everything. They're actually using a pavilion, like you said, that had none of our equipment on it. It's actually just a pole barn. They bring everything in themselves, set it all up. They're completely responsible for that. But they also were allowed to open, never had to technically close down throughout this whole thing because they have very specific ag guidelines that they can follow. I mean, we're talking more like we don't want to allow birthday parties and stuff like that, which is definitely a big concern. And technically, we can have, like for classes, 25 people outside at 6 feet apart. I mean, we could do a yoga class that really wouldn't require any cleaning. We show up on a soccer field, instructor shows up, and then, everybody just disperses at the end. So I don't know if we want to like pick and choose and do certain programs so we at least start offering something, that wouldn't require, have the cleaning requirements. Or do we want to?
Yeah, if you're limited to equipment, I can see that logic.
Because like some of the stuff we can do, like golf, you bring your own equipment, so we could still allow our golf lessons to run. That's at a driving range too, so it's not even our facility to clean. That's all handled by, the golf facility. They're already handling that. There's just no shared equipment. I don't know if we want to start offering certain programs that we can, meet within the guidelines that aren't going to stress us out financially. That way, at least get some revenue in for. You have to, make adjustments down the line. So I'm sure we're gonna have to buy, signs and stuff like that for the parks, just for in general use too. We got to start posting, social distancing rules and stuff like that. Luckily, we should have a little bit of money that we were going to spend on first aid that we should be able to get signage, or we just laminate paper signs and hang them up all over too.
I think if we are able to safely and have the equipment to offer some things, I think it could be a real positive for the community, because a lot of people are just tired of not having anything available. And I know we made the decision to cancel the camps, and that was obviously a hard decision for us to make, but it was the safest thing to do. And it's too late to kind of start that up midsummer, obviously. So that was the right thing to do there. But maybe I don't know that we necessarily need a motion or need to decide on any of these things. We could put it within the department to offer what we can, like, if we leave it up to Scott and Monica to decide what can we safely offer that we have the equipment to do. I mean, we can trust him to do that. I don't know that we necessarily need a motion, because these are things we offer all the time anyway. It's just a matter of leaving it up to the department to decide, okay, maybe we can offer an outdoor yoga class that's spread out in a nice open area, but we can't offer a cooking crowded around the same kitchen space or something like that.
I think that's right, Lou. I guess the only thing, Scott, I would say in that context is probably asking legal what your proper response would be to the person in the cooking class that you have to say no to at this time, right? Just to make sure that it's proper language and it's not getting us in any other trouble.
Yeah, I would want to update all of our, waivers and everything first. And one of the things I was thinking is we might even implement like a special agreement, kind of like summer camps. They actually have a requirement that you have to sign this agreement, the parents, the kids, and the staff. So, I mean, I was thinking going along the same lines for any programs we run where, the staff, the instructors would have to sign, that they have an understanding of what their responsibility is, what their risks could be, as well as, the participants to help cover us. I would want to run that all through the town attorney first before we offer any programs at all. I mean, it might be good to start, kind of baby steps, some very simple programs that wouldn't involve too much. So that way we at least start offering things to the public again, especially because if the other towns are starting to open up their programs, it won't make us look bad.
To be kind of safe, not to kind of be negative too, but do we need to have a plan in place if we do offer a safe outdoor program or something like that, and somebody does happen to report back to us that they found out that they're COVID positive, then do we have a plan for communicating that out? I mean, we may want to have a backup plan too, like, hey, just in case.
Yeah, there's like state contact tracing requirements and reporting. It just changed though, so I got to read them again. Now it used to be a form you submit online. Now I believe it's a phone call. They just told us in our meeting today. Everything changes literally daily, so I've been trying to stay on top of it. But there is a process with that, and we'll have to, outline that for instructors and participants before we start, holding any program. But that way, Monica can actually start some of the planning process for it. So maybe, mid-July, we can actually get some things together and start offering programs again.
I think that's a good step forward. Just
Yeah.
once you guys take this month to figure out what you can do. And if we can do it, then let's do it. But obviously, PPE's got to be in place and we have to follow the rules, the guidelines that are being provided. It's not easy. It's fluid, right? So we have to really do the best we can because we want to make money. We want to provide offering for people that have physical activities and such. So it's important for us to do this, but I think you take the right approach, and you guys just kind of summarize what you can do, and we'll go from there, and we'll keep moving.
All right. And then we'll say we'll hold off on like general pavilion rentals, for the public, as far as birthday parties and all that stuff. I know people won't be happy they've been calling nonstop, but it's going to be a lot of work to get everything in place. It'll give us a month at least to get signage and procedures in place, get legal documents that we need.
Do we want to think about doing, by the way, Scott, the letter that you put out to the community regarding the summer camps was absolutely wonderful. I thought it was well worded, it was professional, it was, it was appropriate for the situation. Maybe to kind of preempt or kind of avoid any issues with people complaining, hey, why are we doing this program and not that program? Maybe we do something similar where we say, hey, we're going to take it program by program, summer, step by step through the summer, and something that's obviously better worded. Whoever worded that, if you did it or Monica, I don't know who worded it. You guys did an awesome job. I'm not nearly as eloquent, but something that's worded that way that says, hey, we're going to do the best we can, and we may be able to have some activities, we might not be able to have others, and we want to make sure that what we do offer is safe while still offering something for the community and the public to, be able to participate in.
Essentially say we're going to do like our own phased reopening.
Following within the state guidelines and all that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can draft another letter. I mean, that was me. I did write it, rewrite it 6 times.
Really good
It
job.
was very well done.
It took me about 2 days to write.
What did I do from the industry? What are your ideas?
Yeah, and then maybe go virtual too, because we could maybe start there with a virtual cooking class. Take baby steps. At least get a few things going again.
Yeah, as much as we're all, I think, tired of virtual, it might be something at least just to get people re-engaged with Parks and Rec as a whole. So,
Do we have access to some sort of virtual platform besides? Honestly, I'm not a big fan of WebEx. I think the sound quality is poor and it's got a lot of limitations. Do we have access to something that we can use if we do have an offering for the public for virtual class?
I mean, Zoom's pretty cheap. I think it was like $20 a month, and we could certainly, cover that out of our special revenue account, which is where 20% of the program proceeds go to us. So essentially, still take a percentage of the proceeds, so we pay for the WebEx by just having essentially one class.
Okay. Look at Blue Jeans too. That's a platform I've used in the past in other venues, and that one was pretty good. I have no idea how much it costs. I used it through like a company
You said
subscription.
Blue Jeans?
It's called Blue Jeans. BLUEGJEANS.
All right, I can take a look and see, get some prices.
Zoom is a good one. I know people are using like Google Hangouts. I haven't used that one. I don't know how good it is. And there's a couple other platforms out there too.
All right. Well, you can kind of skip the Pavilion. I don't really need this. Basically, it's the same stuff as a lot of the sports. One of the big things we do have that we need to motion on tonight is I talked to Groton Utilities, and they can do our water line. And I got some really good news yesterday because I actually met them out there. They will install what I was hoping they would do, 2 water lines essentially, and then they won't cut across the field. So what they'll do is they'll pull a water line from the current location into the irrigation box. And then when they put the new school in, they put another water hookup. Literally, it's 10 feet from the garage door of the concession stand. So we can run a line from right there into the concession stand, and Groton Utilities will do it for us. We just need a motion for me to submit a bid waiver to the town council to have them do it, so that way we don't have to go out to bid. We would still probably need to get a plumber just to, tap into the line once they run it into the building. But that way we know it gets done right. They know their water supply system better than anybody.
Okay.
second.
Sorry, second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's not on here. I can't really call a motion, but I did talk with the mayor, and we can actually hold our next meeting in person outdoors. So if we want to hold it, at Colonel Ledger Park at the DeMuria Pavilion, we would just have to, someone has to motion to reschedule our next regularly scheduled meeting to that location.
Does it seem disingenuous to stop use of pavilions but hold our next meeting there?
We could say depth of field, and everybody brings their own chair.
Might be better, Scott.
Field tour anyways, right?
Yeah, because I want to start doing tours for, developing master plans. So we could use like a field instead. That way, like you said, we don't run into any issues with not allowing pavilion rentals and meeting at one.
Lou can do all the thing on the
Say,
phone, right?
do we have Wi-Fi there?
No, but the issue was before the clerk's office was closed, so we needed to use the video recording as essentially proof of the meeting until the clerk opened back up. And now the office is open to the public, so we just have to submit minutes and agendas like we normally would. So we wouldn't have to record anything. We just show up, do what we normally do, take the minutes, and then.
I'm a fan. Just kidding.
I've been saying that for 2 months. We can have it at the TV. We have a giant copy.
And actually, we could probably essentially have it here too, because we have a big enough space to be 6 feet apart. And the building's open to the public again. But I mean, it wouldn't hurt to be, go to the park and actually do a walkthrough.
I think I'd like to see the field and we can walk through it.
Yeah. I will say we were down at the field 3 or 4 days ago, and it was gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
He's done a really nice job. He's actually done too good of a job. He started growing grass in the infield. because where he cut across, the machine was too heavy and it dropped seed. He just had to round up it, and it's still coming back. So
Take the motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
was that for DEPTA, right? Meet on DEPTA?
DEPTA.
Yes, yes.
Just like in 2 minutes. Well, that's all I have for you guys. Actually got done pretty quick considering I'm glad I did all the bullet notes, so that way we didn't have to read 85 pages of guidelines.
Do we have any other comments from anyone? Concerns?
No.
I guess my only, I don't know if they can hear me. I don't know. I'll stop with you.
Yeah, you guys hear Tom through my?
Hey, Tom.
Not really.
Can hear Tom, yeah.
My only concern with Pavilion would be what if people are using it and there's no, on their own.
Oh yeah. Wait, so do we want to take?
You're calling us, or someone is.
I mean, do we want to say you can use it as like a household on your own, or do we want to go as far as removing tables?
I mean, using it as a household is one thing, but you're going to get parties up there. You're going to get people there.
Yeah, agreed.
Gather,
Mm-hmm.
whether they requested it or not. And that's going to make it uncomfortable for who has to
Yeah.
in the league.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to say that the thing's closed for the summer, closed. I don't know how we're going to work that.
Do we want to maybe hang more signs that say like permit required and stuff like that?
That would
Kind
not
of
hurt.
deter them.
Yeah, that would not hurt.
Like it off with caution tape or whatever, yeah. I mean, you're right, Tom, it puts you guys in a tough spot. It's gotta be closed.
Which seems ridiculous, but people will use it if we're not going to officially let it be signed out.
Mm-hmm.
I would think.
Yeah.
There's something to think about, really the summer progresses.
Yeah. We're gonna do signage and I guess maybe see how the next, month goes, next few weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, if it gets out of hand, I can have Russell tape it up. So we have our next meeting and come up with a strategy. I just ran out.
I mean, Scott, do we have a spot? Could we physically take all the tables away and put them somewhere?
It might be difficult. I mean, we might be able to get them to the red barn, but that's like one table at a time for Russell to bring over there in the truck. It's a lot of time. That,
Yeah, no, I know. I know.
yeah, as it is. And then apparently we acquired a new table today. It just appeared out of nowhere at the community center.
Just have them stack them up and buy a couple chains on the lock and put them around them so they can't physically be used if you can't get
On top of each other and chain them. Yeah, I can have them do that. That way you have to bring your own chairs if you want to sit at the pavilion with the family for a picnic. Yeah.
There's a lot there,
We'll have Russell.
I mean, it's Highlands the same way, right? There's a bunch of tables there.
Yeah, and he just brought the mobile out too in preparation for the opening pavilion. So. But that's luckily gated up. So maybe actually at Highlands we could probably bring the tables into the
cage.
Yeah, that might be a solution for there. And then it's just blonders, and then Town Green's essentially all taped up anyways because we don't want people in there. The only use is the lower section, which has no tables.
Yeah, you got tables everywhere. I mean, you get tables at all the parks, really, don't we?
So I guess I don't know. Is it because they're outside that it's probably reasonable to keep them out there? Now I'm thinking about it. It's like There's not a lot of evidence at this point that you're going to get some kind of contagion from an outside facility.
Mm.
Um,
And if we don't post signs, it's not like we're accepting, that there's a risk. As far as the risk manager said today, I mean, I can run it by the town attorney too to see what she thinks. If it's, by leaving them out there, we're going to get in any trouble.
I think it might be overkill just because, I mean, if people are going to restaurants pretty soon,
Mm. Yeah.
As long as we're not making a party happen,
We're not allowed.
just freely going there, then they take their own responsibility.
But restaurants are cleaning, right, Ken? So it's a question of where do we feel Scott, Monica, Russ, the very small collective of staff we have can clean. I agree with you.
If we put up signs that say permit required, or if we, try to at least cordon them off with tape or something, and then people use them on their own, does that absolve us of the liability of somebody of the cleaning and all that?
I don't think so, because at that point they're doing what it says they're not supposed to be doing.
Right.
In a clearly stated rule. Like trespassing.
I'd say get town council to give us that blessing, and then you're right.
Fortunately, the state doesn't give us the information really timely, so we got all this yesterday to sort through. So didn't have much time to get the lawyer to look over it and everything. But.
Okay. So I guess that was a good conversation. So we'll table a lot of this stuff to July. Hopefully, it gives you guys some time to figure out what's going on and how you can approach it come August. And
choose about.
That's about it. All right. So motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Be safe.
Aye.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, what's our feeling